Welcome back from the break. We are still here. Smart means business live on Smart 24 TV. Of course, we get to the top of the hour for that wonderful moment where we give you the latest dose of inspiration. We did have quite a number every Monday to Friday at around this time. We give you that little bit of hint coming in from those ones that have made it before us and those ones that still struggle even right now and they still overcome. Sometimes you do get to see someone's big empire, business empire. Dangote was giving us a couple of snippets and saying resilience is key, and he has made it through. And right now it is not quite, his empire is not quite into he is facing, if I can mention it, he is facing quite a number of difficulties, but we have had him quote here quite a number of times about resilience, about going through those particular challenges and having a positive mindset. Let's get our dose of business quotes coming up next. Equal Pay Day, and we are still keeping that undertone within this conversation. Now, just as was mentioned, of course, on business quote, listen to your clients, listen to your customers. Don't over-promise, don't under-promise. If you do that, you just may get so weighed in. And of course, there is the reputational disaster, the disaster to your brand, to your reputation, and all that. So the core really is to listen to your client. How many times do we listen as business people to our different clients? Good morning, Andrew.
A very good morning.
Yes.
Yeah.
The listening part, is it so easy, or you get so wrapped up with should I want this sort of thing? I want this. It should be this, and you've already made out everything within, you know, your ducks are in order. And then all of a sudden, the client is saying, oh, I just want this change. Do you just, you know, just go over and above the client and ignore them?
Of course, it wouldn't be a good idea. First of all, because when you're establishing your product, you know exactly what your intended customer is. If you are willing to serve that customer, there are scenarios where perhaps clients might say, can you make a little adjustment in this product here and there or in the service? But if you turn a blind eye, then that means those are not your target clients. You know, and I think we should also come to reach an extent as business people getting to know that to some degree, however much you perfect your product, not every person is going to appreciate it, and it's not going to work for every person according to it's not going to meet the expectations of every customer. So it's understandable. If I can have 70% appreciate the product, 30% saying that I should adjust, I would listen to the 70%, because even if I did what the 30% wanted, then what if What about the 70%? They are also going to say, but why did you make these adjustments?
We did have actually one entrepreneur say that there's so many varied preferences out there. So if you're going to have to tailor your particular product or your service to meet every different niche of preferences that are changing, by the way, every single day, you will never manage. You must have a standard. You must be able to integrate some of these this feedback back. But if at all it totally changes the narrative or changes your product or service, then please be very cautious. Hesitate actually to do it. Please, that is some news coming in. Of course, coming in from the business quote, some inspiration, your dose of inspiration every Monday to Friday. Now, you remember you can get onto our social media pages. You can find us on X, you can find us Facebook, as well as YouTube. Find us there, Smart24 TV Official, Smart24 TV Now, or Smart24 TV as one word. You can find us. Let us know what your opinion is, what you think about some of these quotes. Are they working for you? Have you learned something from some of them? Let us know. We would be delighted to have your feedback. What is next, Andrew?
Well, we have something in from Ramadan Gobi in our business update, where he urged the CEOs to be a part of the, to lead the climate change action. And of course, he clearly mentioned, he was clearly mentioning what Uganda needs in terms of financing its climate change needs. I would request the producer to take us, we'll take a look at that update. Where he was urging the CEOs to actually be a part of, to be a part of to lead the climate action. And what I can say that to highlight the entire narrative, he said that Uganda's climate finance and Uganda needs about an estimated of 28.1 million US dollars in terms of when it comes to climate change. Okay. Yeah, perhaps when we have that, we shall proceed with further details in line with that. Well, today we decided to focus on health, taking health and education as part of the key when we take a look at the public, from the public perspective, and we've seen how the different countries in all around East Africa are structured in terms of having these wage gaps, most especially among the health practitioners. Of course, we're supposed to be joined by some few individuals, doctors, but due to, of course, some little bit of technicalities, we weren't in position to get in touch with them, but hopefully we shall have them at some point as we address these matters. Of course, to kickstart off here with Kenya, if we are to see, having established itself as an East African business hub and a key pharmaceutical market, the country is definitely already a host to many multinationals, of course, most especially through local representative officers and distributors. And of course, still taking a look at Kenya's health sector, according to Fitch Solutions, spending on healthcare for Kenya was valued at about 394.68 billion Kenyan shillings. That is equivalent to about $3.9 billion in 2017. Now, this is per capita healthcare expenditure reached at $80, of which as much as 61% was sourced from the private sector. And you get to realize how the expenditure, Kenya's expenditure, in terms of seeing that the private sector constitutes the biggest percentage, yet in Uganda, government, when it comes to the health sector, holds about 66%, a bigger percentage. And we see it, where the government seems to have an upper hand, we have wage challenges, and where the private sector seems to really be playing a vital role, we clearly see that the wage structure is quite favorable as compared to, so that addresses really a question. To what degree has the private sector, have the private players been enhanced in terms of participating in Uganda's health sector? Perhaps, or could we say that, could the private sector partnering in harmony with government provide a solution to the to the gaps that we see today in terms of employment and and even service delivery.
Definitely. I mean, public-private partnerships have been literally called for quite a while because of how crucial. Not only just the linkages, you're not even just looking at the linkages, and really when you look at effective implementation of any of the laws, the governments, the policies, all that, you have to have this particular partnership there. Otherwise, what happens is you have government doing its own thing, and then the private sector as well doing its own thing. When you have this great partnership, you have the trickle-down, the seamless trickle-down of information all throughout. But of course, when it comes to the health sector, we will be, and let us even just look at the health sector as well as the education sector in regards to that. When you get to look at the private sector, with the different feedback that we have been having and the little surveys that we have carried out, you do have quite a number of medical personnel actually preferring to go work for government entities.
Yeah.
Because one, there is quite a lot of fair, the pay apparently, quote unquote, is fair, but you do have that additional perks. Now, of course, you do have the other, flip the coin, the other side to it that comes with the absconding part. You have the much free time to go and carry out your own private work on the side. And that is not necessarily just in the health sector. It comes across literally into public service. You do have those ones who will tell you, I'm motivated to get into stuff because I know at the end of the month I'm going to get my salary, but also because I don't have to be full-time there. Whether it is within the government offices, whether it is in any public, in most of the public, and we are using blanket statements according to the findings down on ground. So it cannot be refuted, it can't be negated, it can't be ignored in regards to this. Now, when it comes down, of course, to the health sector, you do have that part where you have quite a number of them saying, yes, I can get my consistent pay, but then I will be able to have some time to go and start up my own clinic or start up my own pharmacy and do something on the side. But then there has been more or less a trend, of course, coming in from the side that most of these institutions, most of these places are asking for experience. Yes? So instead of someone going in and spending maybe 6 years in training or 5 years in training, you find more and more, and this is the Gen Zs and those ones quite lower, the lower aged, preferring to actually skip A-level. So the majority, you have quite a number, and it's actually increasing with more and more medical, especially nursing, and you do have the different clinical officers as well as some in within the labs, the lab technicians preferring that they just move straight into a training institute after S4. And then once they do that, what they are saying is that, yes, I just skip 2 years of nonsense and then get in, and then of course after my first year, if I can maintain and have good grades, I will find a clinic where I can begin to practice. And then of course you do have the others that go through the formal as should be, but then the challenge is of course after S6. Now remember, how do you compare? Yes, how do you compare the person that immediately left S4, and this is where the catch is, the lower, left S4, immediately went for a nursing course. Yes, a nursing course, and immediately started 1 year or 1.5 years later, is already doing extra, something extra on the side and being paid maybe 200,000, 250. Now you have the other one who, during this time, 2 years has finished, has no whatsoever ability to get hired, and then you have to wait for campus university to enroll. So it takes a much longer time for this person to get the experience and even get a little bit of money coming in. But now when you get to see the implications, you do understand that there are so many clinics right now that will actually be looking and fishing for these young ones here within those different institutes because they know they are available, they are polishing themselves, and of course they can't give them the lowest amount of money
so they can easily exploit them. They take advantage of that. No, yesterday I was talking to an architecture and he was saying having rogue practitioners, and he was mentioning in terms of qualification, why would you hire somebody that actually just started a diploma to do that? Somebody who just did a certificate. So I think all those, the education perspective, we still have that attachment. But I would still feel, even if somebody stopped in senior 4 and went and did a nursing course, they can still be in, if they go to the practice
and keep
from
upgrading.
the right institutions and keep upgrading.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse to exploit them, you know, because taking the nursing course in itself,
they're expensive.
they are very expensive, and anything that deals with health is something to take really
seriously,
so serious. So such a kind of a person, I mean, exploitation in terms of qualifications, to me, in my own opinion, wouldn't be something to be an excuse as to why these people are paid the way they're paid, you know. And okay, we are just talking about people leaving senior 4 and heading for nursing courses, but then we still have those that have gotten the degrees, but they are still in the same bracket as though they dropped out. So it all still comes back to the same, all perception. And also, I'll bring it to the side of the bargaining power these doctors have. Getting to show this country of what value they are and what are the consequences we face if they are in the state they are in today as doctors in the country. I don't know whether they have actually taken that deliberate
into perspective.
That deliberate perspective of, you know, proving their worth to this country. And, you know, it comes with this whole line whereby we are now so having this class of people that is rising up, which seems to be having the potential to actually pay for the health services. But when they get, when that time comes when they need the health services, they don't actually come to this country. They would rather opt for heading to the diaspora to, you know. And I think all that casts some kind of a doubt towards the health sector in this country. I'm just trying to imagine the professionals that are operating in those hospitals across the borders. What does and all that perception sinks down back to we the citizens, and of course back to the policymakers, to make them feel like maybe our health sector may not be worth, because it will all start with how much is allocated in terms budgetary allocation, and how this is actually seen that it's kind of in a very worrying state. Let's take a look at the health insurance. You know, the uptake, first of all, of insurance in this country is quite low. All packages, health insurance inclusive. Because I was thinking, if we had a stable health insurance policy, I think it could be part of those key elements, a catalyst in terms of kind of addressing the wage difference. If we have quite a number of government institutions, of course some have already done that, but talking about having this mandatory, I remember the Minister of Health was talking about mandatory, you know, people being, I don't know how far that conversation really stopped in that line.
People being what?
Whereby it's mandatory for you to have health insurance. It's not some kind of, for those who have money, oh, if I wish to have it, I can have it, but it's mandatory. I think that would drive in some incomes into that.
I think when it comes to health insurance or any other insurance of any sort, we're just talking about agriculture recently, it is still something to work on, changing mindsets. A lot of sensitization has to be there within that. But of course, some of the impediments needs to be addressed as well. Is the product really appropriate for even the last mile person? If you are talking about maybe 10,000, you do have quite a number of products that are coming out for salary earners and even for the others, for the Juakali, that are really quite small, manageable. You have 1,000, you have 5,000, 10,000. That one someone can manage. But I think the sensitization would more or less be looking at the rationale behind insurance. Because for someone to say, yes, I'm going to pay for something that may happen 50-50. Yes, when I'm ready, why would I? The majority of Ugandans would ask you, why would I? Yes, let it happen. If it happens, I will sort it out that time. But if it doesn't happen, that means all my money is lost. But of course, a lot of sensitization needs to be done. But just giving you a little bit of some statistics, let's look at the at equal pay for work, looking at gross monthly minimum wage in Africa, according to statistics that were carried out in around 2022. Seychelles came out with top of the bracket with 464.76, followed by Morocco 285, and then you have South Africa coming in third place at 248, Gabon 240, Mauritius 239, and then of course you do have, that's in US dollars, and you have Equatorial Guinea $188, Egypt 156, Congo 144, Algeria 140, Kenya $136, and that is Tunisia 125, and Mozambique 124, and Botswana 123. Rwanda comes in at $2, and Burundi $1.7. Now Uganda $1.63, Sudan $0.78. This is the gross monthly minimum wage in Africa in US dollars 2022. Now you can imagine Uganda. Let's look at Uganda, even as we talk about all the different minimum wage issues, and of course the lack of thereof. Really, Uganda coming in at 1.63, and then of course in comparison to Seychelles that comes in at $464, and then second place Morocco coming in at $285. Now imagine between the 1.6, 1.7, $1.6 in Uganda that would be offered to you. Imagine if someone comes up and offers $464 for the same work, literally for almost the same work. Would you even think twice about it? Would you even think twice about it?
I would definitely go for the better.
Yeah. And this comes into play. This comes into play. If you look at those ones who are going to all these Middle East places, when you look at what they are doing, it is housework. It is basically that is a housemaid, quote unquote, of course, domestic worker. But what is the highest you can get? Normally, it's ranging between, as a domestic worker here, that's $200. No, in Uganda.
In Uganda,
yes.
Oh, that's less. You may get like $20, $30.
Put
That's
it in
about
Uganda shillings in the context.
100,000.
Actually, it's you can't
approximately 100, 200.
Yeah, no, not 200.
200,000.
Not 200. We're talking about average. When you are bringing
average 100,000.
100 is even the tops. The majority right now have even, because most of them are within the 50 bracket.
50.
Yes, 50, depending on experience. The younger they go, it is 50, 60. But of course, the older they go, it is 80 upwards, 85 upwards, really, when it comes to that. So you can't imagine someone getting 900,000 when they are doing the very same work in
another country.
In Dubai.
Yes,
900,000. And then you compare it to, let's even put it at 100,000 here. Yeah? How many times much more is that? So it is, of course, they had brought out, I remember when something was mentioned about having a minimum wage really put in place for domestic workers. But talking about it, is that even plausible if the others, if the other professions have not even been able to effectively have a minimum wage looked at seriously? Seriously. Yes, on that part.
Yeah, of course, many times when they're addressing the aspect of a minimum wage, it's addressed from the line of protecting investors. So it is more like the system fears more to lose investors than actually caring for empowerment of the citizens.
The quality of life.
The quality of life of the citizens.
But you see, Andrew, this is the contradiction. Is that within some of these countries, look at China. Yes, you are trying to have as many Chinese come in and invest. But when you go back to their place, the different prerequisites, wages literally to the Chinese locals are literally one of the vital key areas you cannot play around with. You cannot play around wages as a Ugandan investor. You must pay them. You must pay them something significantly higher.
It's because I mean, it all comes back to the political structure and how it's actually designed in terms of can I call it, I don't want to say begging money, but kind of, you're pleading to these people that we need you so much.
A beggar is not a chooser.
Exactly. I have to create any possible atmosphere to help you. I don't care whether it's exploitative in nature for my citizens, as long as you make that money and finance my operations. I think that's the whole line. Because if we woke up one day and say, let me say we are putting the minimum wage at 500,000 in Uganda, how many investors would really...
The cost would go up.
Yeah. The cost of production on their side would actually be, will be so high, which is the biggest worry for the government. Yeah. But now there is a contradiction here. You're looking for foreign direct investment. You need the money. We need the foreign direct investment. But then, at the end of the day, because this one thing I know, if the common person, if the common person, or what they call a Mutuawansi, does not directly benefit from the foreign direct investment, then that's also quite a huge problem. Because I want to look at it from the line that, to what degree has it empowered the incomes of the citizens? Because take a look at most of the local investors that have established different factories. Last time when we had a discussion with one of the economists saying that industrialization is the way to go. But then he's like, ask yourself a question. If we are to do a random search and you find out how much do each of those factory workers earn, are those wages enough for them to increase their purchasing power? When you actually wait,
improve the quality of life.
Exactly. But when you wait, it's still nothing. It's the same.
It's literally hand to mouth.
It's hand to mouth.
It's hand to mouth. That means at any one time, if you do have maybe a calamity, something happens. One falls sick. You literally, you have a very thin line to falling back into abject poverty.
Absolute poverty.
Abject poverty.
And any economy is run by the locals. The locals should participate the biggest percentage, like 60%, 65%. And that means in terms of getting the most high-paid jobs. And so if that is lacking, first of all, they're not in investment. They're not investors in the first place.
But are they qualified? Are they qualified enough to take on these jobs?
With jobs?
Those jobs. You said in most cases when it comes down to investment, yes, the locals should be set to really take up these high-paying jobs. For example, the Chinese come in, as has been done so many times, and then they're coming in for the railway to really support and all that.
But what does it really take for them to do that? It's a matter of going through a training, a specific training for... Now, this is where we talk about specialization. You train what you're going to do in that factory. You can't say you're going to multitask.
Who is going to invest in this training? The government? The government of Uganda?
No, it's up to them, according to an understanding. We can agree to train these people to work. The factory owners are going to, because you're going to be in this country for over 10 years, and you're using this labor. It's going to work for you. It's going to produce for you. It deserves a favorable compensation, a fair compensation, if we are to see them participate. Because why do we say that if people say, I woke up in the morning, I opened my shop, nope, I didn't get any customers. Why aren't those customers, they are simply not empowered to actually come and purchase their basics, clothing or anything that is out there, And I think it explains why into, this country. So I think we have to be deliberate. But the aspect of a minimum wage is still like a dream in this country. I don't really think, maybe, if we have less contribution in this country's economy, we are literally heading into a pit hole.
A pit hole. It is. I like to look at the different strategies that came out, especially looking much earlier, knowing that there are so many that maybe because of your linkages, your links to people in power, or this or that, you did have quite a number of Ugandans being different training institutes coming up. Yes, but you did have, of course, a number of them. But the reality about it is that even with the numbers out there, of course, you still have quite a number that are still there, really to tap into some of these investment projects, when it comes down to management, you will see that the pay gap is quite high. That particular gap is so huge. You have one getting paid in thousands and thousands of dollars, and then you have the Ugandan maybe within the range of around 5 million, 8 million. You know, tops maybe. We would want to find out, of course. Get onto our social media pages and let us know what you are earning. If you are within here, we will hold it, of course, non-disclosure, not necessarily your names. We will take a short break and come back with much more, and especially looking at sports and entertainment. Yes.
When you take a look at the football players, except if you play for those, you know,
the big clubs.
The big clubs, and I think that is something we need to really look at in terms of regulating wages based on the industry. You know, somebody is really performing it, because why should we have, for example, saying that if I'm in this industry, pay job. If you work for, if you're working for these other companies in the same sector, you're earning less. For example, in football, they will tell you if you're playing for specific clubs. Okay, I would understand.
At least you have some particular clubs paying much better.
Paying much better. I would understand, of course, even in the English Premiership, clubs may not pay the same. But at least, if there should be differences in the wage you have in this country.
Let's have more insight on that as Andrew comes back with sports and entertainment. For now, let's take a short break. We'll be right back with more.